If you had exactly $432 left in your bank account, would you still pay for a stranger's meal? Especially if that stranger drove a luxury car and forgot his wallet at home. One ordinary night, in a quiet McDonald's in California, Sophie, a single mother, did something so small it seemed forgettable. Yet it would soon move the world. She paid for the meal of a stranger without knowing that the man she helped was none other than billionaire Elon Musk. She didn't do it for recognition. She didn't expect anything in return. But that simple act of kindness sparked a chain of events that would go far beyond anything she could have imagined. A journey from a fading dream to a life-changing miracle, all written by compassion, gratitude, and the quiet law of karma. This story isn't just about a mother who lost her job for doing the right thing. It's a reminder. Every good deed, no matter how small or unnoticed, always finds its way back, often in the most unexpected ways. If you love powerful, emotional, and inspiring stories like this one, hit that subscribe button and join us as we share stories that spread kindness every single day. You won't want to miss how this story ends. Part 1. Late night moonlight at McDonald's. It was late. The clock inside the McDonald's read 11:30 p.m. The dim yellow glow of fluorescent lights reflected off the old tile floors, and Sophie, a single mother of two, was still wiping down the cash register for the final time before her shift ended. She had been standing for 8 straight hours, her legs aching, her back ready to give out after a long day of smiling and repeating the same line. "Would you like fries with that?" Taped inside her locker door was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. A small photo of her 2 kids smiling brightly. Zoe, her 9-year-old daughter missing a front tooth, and Miguel, her 7-year-old son with oversized glasses. They were Sophie's world, her reason to keep going, through exhaustion, through hardship, through days that felt never-ending. That night, a shiny black Tesla pulled up to the drive-through window. As Sophie slid open the glass and prepared to take payment, she froze for a moment. The man behind the wheel was none other than Elon Musk. But he didn't look like the man on TV. His eyes were sunken, his t-shirt wrinkled, and there was a fatigue etched deeply into his face, the kind only a 20-hour workday could bring. He checked his pockets, his glove box, and finally sighed. I'm sorry, I left my wallet at the office. Guess I'll have to drive back." Sophie looked at him, then remembered the days she once counted pennies to buy milk for her kids. Without a second thought, she pulled her debit card from her pocket. "Don't worry about it, I've got it." $12. That's all it was, but it was the money she had set aside to buy Miguel's asthma medication. Not knowing she had just helped one of the richest men in the world, Sophie even added an apple pie into the bag. "Have a good night. A little sweetness can make things easier." Elon paused. He looked at her name tag. Sophie. His eyes lit up, as if he had just recalled a long-lost memory. But he said nothing else, just smiled, and drove off. What Sophie didn't know was that this small act of kindness would open a new chapter in her life and rewrite the future of her children. Part 2. The storm before the calm. The next morning, before the first light of day could slip through the worn-out curtains, Sophie's cheap cell phone began buzzing non-stop. Texts, missed calls, notifications pouring in. At first, she assumed it was the usual spam, until the third call from her younger sister made her finally pick up. "Sophie, you're famous. Social media is blowing up. Everyone's talking about you. They're calling you the McDonald's angel." Lua shouted so loud that Sophie had to pull the phone away from her ear. She froze. Only one thought flashed through her mind. Was someone recording that moment? A few shaky minutes later, Sophie opened her old laptop. There it was. Footage from the McDonald's security camera, showing the blurry but unmistakable moment she pulled out her debit card, paid for Elon Musk's meal, and added an apple pie to the bag. Clear. Undeniable. The title of the video hit her like a punch to the chest. McDonald's worker pays for Elon Musk's meal. Everyday kindness in action. 3 million views overnight. Thousands of comments praising her. But Sophie couldn't smile. A deep, gnawing fear crept in. because she knew the company policy all too well. Absolutely no giving away food, even if paid out of pocket. And then her fear became reality. A cold, blunt text from her manager appeared. "See me in the office tonight, as soon as you arrive." That afternoon, Sophie walked into work with her heart pounding like a war drum. She passed whispering coworkers, curious stares, and phones discreetly held up to take pictures. When the office door shut behind her, Mr. Daniels, the manager, didn't even try to hide his frustration. "Do you have any idea the kind of attention that video is bringing us? You violated a direct policy. I don't care if it was Elon Musk, you had no right to give out extra food. You're terminated, effective immediately." It all collapsed in an instant. Sophie tried to apologize, tried to hold back tears. But in that moment, she understood something painful. Kindness, no matter how sincere, isn't always welcome. She grabbed her bag and walked out, past the crowd filming her, snapping photos, whispering like she was part of some headline. And for the first time in a long time, Sophie felt small. Small in a world too big, too loud, and too quick to judge. Part 3. Losing everything, but not her faith. That night, after walking out of McDonald's, Sophie stood silently at the bus stop. The wind blew cold against her skin, but it was the chill from within, disappointment, uncertainty, that made her shiver. When the last bus rumbled down the road toward her worn-down apartment complex, Sophie stared out the window, thinking about her 2 sleeping children. Miguel needed new shoes. Zoe had a follow-up asthma appointment coming up. Rent was 3 days overdue. She didn't know how she was going to make it. When she got home, Mrs. Reynolds, the kind elderly neighbor, was sitting on the steps with a tired but gentle smile. "They were angels tonight, fell asleep fast. But your eyes look tired, sweetheart." Sophie forced a smile, hiding her tears. I just got fired." Mrs. Reynolds didn't ask any more. She simply laid a warm hand on Sophie's shoulder, as if to transfer the last bit of comfort she had left on a long, exhausting night. Later, under the soft hush of midnight, Sophie sat alone at the tiny kitchen table. In front of her, a stack of unpaid bills. She grabbed a pen and paper, calculating down to the last cent. Her warehouse shift hours had been cut. McDonald's was gone. Her bank account showed just under $130. She reached for a small piece of paper and quietly wrote, "I did the right thing. Even if I lost my job, even if they misunderstood, I still believe in kindness, because that's what Mom taught me." The next morning, Sophie walked her kids to the bus stop. Miguel ran ahead, full of energy. Zoe held her mother's hand tightly. "Don't be sad, Mom. We believe in you." Those words tightened something in Sophie's chest. Kindness, even when it comes at a cost, is always worth it. What Sophie didn't know was that miles away, inside the Tesla headquarters, a man was sitting silently in front of a screen. Elon Musk, deep in thought, was rewatching the video of the woman who paid for his late-night meal. When the name tag flashed on screen, Sophie Lopez, his brows furrowed. That name, it wasn't unfamiliar. Something in the back of his memory stirred. Soft, unclear, but insistent. He had no idea that the woman in that blurry video, with one simple act of kindness, was about to rewrite not just her own story, but his too. Part 4, an unexpected meeting. That morning began like any other, but inside Sophie, a storm was quietly brewing. Her old phone kept flashing with hundreds of messages from strangers, praise, encouragement, and even offers to help. She tried to ignore it and kept applying for jobs. But every time she reached the question, "Reason for leaving your previous job?" she froze. The story was everywhere. Everyone knew about the McDonald's angel. Some places politely declined her application. Others didn't even bother to call back. On a scorching afternoon, just as Sophie stepped through the door of her apartment, she found a strange package waiting for her. Inside was a simple envelope and a card that read, "We would like to invite you to a private meeting. Sender, Elon Musk, Green Bean Cafe, 2:00 p.m., tomorrow." Sophie stood frozen. Elon Musk? The man from that night? She thought it was a prank, but the handwriting and embossed business card inside were too refined to be fake. She didn't tell anyone, only called Mrs. Reynolds, asking if she could pick up the kids after school. "I have an important meeting," she said, gripping the phone tightly. The next day, Sophie arrived at the small cafe right on time. Her heart was pounding when a well-dressed woman approached her. "Ms. Sophie Lopez? I'm Tanya, Mr. Musk's assistant." A moment later, the cafe door opened. Elon Musk stepped inside, dressed simply but with unmistakable presence. He walked over to her table, extended his hand, and said, "It's a pleasure to see you again. This time, under very different circumstances." Sophie wasn't sure what to say, but Elon smiled gently. "I watched the video again, and your name, it triggered a memory. A person who may have changed my life a long time ago." He studied her face closely, as if trying to confirm something deep within. "Are you the daughter of Kate Lopez?" Sophie's eyes widened. She slowly nodded. Elon let out a breath, visibly moved. "I owe your mother a great debt, and now, it seems fate has given me the chance to repay it." No one spoke. The entire cafe seemed to fall into a hush at that moment. A moment where two people from completely different worlds met not because of fame or fortune, but because of something far simpler. Kindness. Part 5. An unexpected opportunity. Sophie sat motionless, her heart nearly skipping a beat. She had never imagined that one day her mother's story, a woman who worked the night shift at a small McDonald's in Palo Alto, would be recounted by Elon Musk himself, a man admired worldwide. Elon leaned back in his chair, his gaze distant as if journeying back in time. "Over 20 years ago, when I was just a young engineer with big dreams, surviving on instant noodles and sheer belief, there was a woman who quietly gave me hope. She didn't ask questions or make a fuss. She simply offered a larger serving of fries, an extra hamburger, and smiled. As if she understood I needed something beyond just food." Sophie clenched her hands, memories of her mother, Kate, washing over her like waves, a woman who always believed in kindness, even when life was anything but easy. "Later, when I was in a position to help others, I held on to one principle: never forget those who sowed seeds of kindness in your life," Elon said sincerely. "And today, upon learning you're Kate's daughter, I knew I had to do something, not just to say thank you." Sophie looked up, her eyes glistening. "You're planning something?" Elon offered a gentle smile. "I'd like to invite you to work at Tesla. Not out of pity, but because I believe you possess something we're missing. Genuine empathy for people." She was taken aback. Nexpress.net. "But I've never worked in tech, and I don't have a degree." "We'll provide the training," Elon replied. "But qualities like compassion, resilience, and dedication, no university can teach those." He handed her a folder. "This is a job offer, a position as a customer service advisor with a salary sufficient for you to raise your 2 children without worrying about the end-of-month bills. I've also arranged an emergency fund, as an apology for what you lost due to unwanted fame." Sophie was speechless. Her simplest dream, to care for her children without constant anxiety, seemed within reach. "All you need to do is say yes," Elon said, "Asiti, and every door will open." And in that moment, amidst the cafe's gentle music, Sophie realized, some debts aren't repaid with money, but with opportunity. And this was hers. Part 6. A new beginning in an old dream. A week after that fateful meeting, Sophie stood in front of Tesla's headquarters in Palo Alto, a place she had only ever seen in pictures. She wore a simple dress, clutching her worn-out bag, her heart filled with nervous anticipation. Everything had happened so quickly that it still felt like a dream. A young employee stepped outside to greet her. "Ms. Sophie, I'm Priya, head of employee training. We're so excited to welcome you to Tesla." Sophie smiled and nodded slightly. "Thank you. I still can't quite believe I'm really here." Priya led her through sunlit hallways where energetic young professionals moved with purpose and passion. With every step, Sophie felt as if she were entering a whole new world. A world of opportunity, innovation, and vision. "This will be your desk," Priya said, "Hatese, and this is your team. The folks who will be supporting you through your training and transition." A small round of applause broke out. Friendly faces smiled at her, not as the McDonald's angel who made the news, but simply as a new teammate. During her first week, Sophie began learning how to use internal software, understanding customer service protocols, and most importantly, mastering how to handle situations with empathy and adaptability. What made her stand out wasn't technical knowledge. It was her ability to truly listen and understand, something no degree or resume could guarantee. One afternoon, still struggling with the training manual, a young man beside her leaned over and whispered, "You look a little stuck. Want some help?" Sophie looked surprised. "Thank you, these terms are still a bit overwhelming." "No worries, I was just like you once. But you know what? Around here, it's not about who you are on paper. It's about how much you actually care about the people you're helping. And you're already amazing at that." Those words felt like a gentle affirmation. Sophie hadn't just been given a chance, she was earning it. That evening, back in their small rental apartment, Sophie wrapped her arms around her two kids. "Mom had a wonderful day," she said. "Not because I did anything big, but because I got to be myself." And that was appreciated. As the red-orange sunset glowed through the window, Sophie realized something profound. Dreams don't always arrive with applause. Sometimes, they appear quietly, when someone finally sees your true worth. Part 7. The Circle of Kindness. Time passed quietly. From those early, uncertain days at Tesla, Sophie had become a familiar and trusted presence in the customer care department. She wasn't just a listener, she had become a quiet source of inspiration for the young team around her. One Friday afternoon, as she was wrapping up her shift, Sophie received a message from Tanya, Elon Musk's executive assistant. "Mr. Musk would like to meet with you privately tomorrow morning at a special location. Transportation will be arranged." Sophie was momentarily surprised. Their last meeting had marked a turning point in her life. This time she didn't know what to expect, but something deep inside told her it wouldn't just be about work. The next morning, a silver Tesla picked her up and drove her to a small villa tucked between rows of trees on the outskirts of town. The door opened, and there stood Elon waiting in person. He wore a simple white shirt and jeans, very different from his usual office demeanor. "Sophie," he said warmly, "I invited you here because there's a story I want to share. Not about Tesla, but about a memory from long ago." They sat at a wooden table in a quiet garden, where sunlight filtered softly through the leaves. Elon began to speak of his early days in California, when all he had were dreams and a few crumpled dollars. One night, exhausted and hungry, he stopped by a McDonald's, where a middle-aged woman named Kate, Sophie's mother, quietly gave him a warm meal. No questions asked, just a gentle smile and the words, "Everyone needs a helping hand when they're tired." Sophie went still. Her mother had never told her that story. But suddenly, everything made sense, like a missing puzzle piece falling into place. Tears welled up in her eyes, not just from emotion, but from a deep sense that her mother, long gone, was still alive in every act of kindness Sophie carried forward. "Elon," Sophie whispered, her voice trembling, "my mother helped you, and you helped me. But I believe it doesn't stop here." Elon nodded. "Exactly why I want to propose something. I'd like you to lead a new initiative, Kate's Circle, a program to support single mothers like you once were. We'll help them build skills, find jobs, and most importantly, believe in themselves again." A breeze passed gently through the garden, and in that moment, Sophie felt as if her mother was smiling from above, watching the circle of kindness she once began, now carried forward by her daughter. One apple pie, one small gesture, one nameless act, yet it changed a life forever, and eventually, an entire generation. When Elon Musk stood at Tesla's year-end gala, raised his glass, and told the story of the woman who once fed him when he had nothing, no one expected her to be the mother of Sophie, one of the company's current top employees. Her mother's long-lost heart-shaped necklace was returned. The room erupted, not in applause for fame or fortune, but in silent tears for a beautiful truth. The invisible connection between two souls. One who gave and one who never forgot. Life can be harsh, but kindness never disappears. It travels quietly around the world, only to return to the one who planted it. And if you believe in that, give this video a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel, so together we can keep sharing stories that touch the heart, where kindness, humanity, and miracles still exist. You never know. One small act of helping someone might be the miracle that changes everything.